20 years ago, I went to prison for the disappearance of my best friend. When it happened, I told everyone what really went down, but nobody believed me. Eventually, after hours of pressure from interrogators, I broke. I gave in, confessed to their version of events, and pled no contest. Now I'm finally free. The life I used to know is gone, but I can at least tell the truth. His name was Bennett. We grew up together, two kids who liked to push boundaries. Neither of us were strangers to petty crime. We weren't killers or robbers, but we stole, we broke into places, we did whatever gave us a thrill. We didn't do it because we were poor. We both came from comfortable families. We did it because it was fun. Our favorite pastime was sneaking into construction sites and abandoned buildings. But the one that ruined my life was the old police station. The town had just built a new one down the road. The old building, 60 years of history, dark and heavy, sat abandoned, waiting for demolition. Bennett and I couldn't resist. He bought a cheap Polaroid camera so we could take creepy photos, and we each carried empty backpacks for souvenirs. Getting in was easy. We cut the chain on the gate, slipped inside, and smashed the locks on the front door. No alarms, no guards. It was like a candy store for kids like us. We dug through old records in the booking station. We trashed the sheriff's office. We searched the armory, hoping to find a gun or two, only found billy clubs. But then we found the jail cells. 4 of them lined against a wall. Rusting steel bars, concrete floors, and on the far wall, the keys. Just hanging there. We looked at each other, grinning like idiots. "Let's play cop and criminal," Bennett said. We flipped for it, rock, paper, scissors. I won. So I played the deputy, and he played the convict. I shoved him into a cell, locked the door, and threw myself into the role. "Enjoy rotting, you worthless criminal," I shouted. Bennett played along at first, pacing the cell and yelling back, "You'll regret this, you damn pig." But then his tone changed. His voice cracked, real fear bleeding through. "Hey, seriously, let me out. Please, man. I can't take it in here." The sound sent a chill up my spine. We joked around all the time, but I knew him too well. This wasn't acting. I bolted down the hall to let him out. But when I reached the cell, he was gone. The door was still locked tight. But Bennett wasn't inside. I panicked. I unlocked the cell, rushed inside, checked under the cot. Nothing. "Bennett," I shouted. My voice echoed through the hall, bouncing back at me. And then, the cell door slammed shut. I spun around, lunging for it, shoving my arm in the way. The steel crushed my wrist. I screamed, forcing it open, feeling like someone or something was pushing back from the other side. I staggered out, heart pounding, adrenaline burning through me. I didn't even go looking for him. We always had a rule. If things went bad, take care of yourself and meet up later. But Bennett never showed up. Days passed, then weeks. The investigation circled right back to me. The last person to see him alive. My prints everywhere. My confession beaten out of me. And that's how I lost 20 years. I swear to this day, I didn't kill Bennett. Something else took him. Something in that station wanted him and almost wanted me too. Sometimes late at night, I almost wish it had. In my career as a sheriff's deputy, I saw more than my fair share of things that keep a person up at night. Most of it I only ever shared with my wife and a few folks on the force who were there with me. Now that I'm retired, I write some of it down. This is just one day on the job. It wasn't a surprise call. In fact, we've been waiting on it for months, waiting on a judge to sign the paper. There was an abandoned house in a neighborhood we patrolled. The owners had died, no heirs, and the bank sat on it until the place was ready to fall in on itself. Finally, they slated it for demolition. Before the wrecking crew could touch it, a contractor went in for inspection, then ran straight to our station looking like he'd seen a ghost. We got our warrant. We knew we'd find a trap house, drugs, squatters, guns, standard poison. We were ready for arrests. We were not ready for everything else. 8 squad cars and a SWAT van boxed the place in. Middle of the day, blinds drawn, no one inside seemed to notice. I was a few men behind the SWAT stack at the door when they announced and hit the ram, about 15 seconds between the shout and the breach. That was enough time for a couple runners to sprint for the back door. We had that covered. By the time I stepped over the threshold, a dozen bodies were prone on the first floor and zip ties were coming out. But the house wasn't clear. There was a basement. While other deputies processed the ground floor, I fell in behind the SWAT line with my partner, Deputy Morales, and we started down. My heart did what it always did on a hot entry, beat like it wanted out of my vest. But halfway down the steps, the air changed. The team slowed. The hairs on my neck stood up. It was quiet down there in a way that didn't feel like a room. It felt like a held breath. And then the smell hit. I knew it. I didn't want to admit it. I learned it fresh. My first boy had just been born. Infant waste has a way of carving itself into your memory. A shout snapped me back. One of the SWAT guys barked commands at a man wedged in an egress window, belly stuck in the frame. Morales, and I grabbed his ankles, hauled him out, put him face down, and hogtied him per protocol. All clear, tentative, someone called. Time to start the long process. Remove the cuffs, process the scene, start the paperwork in our heads. I muttered to Morales about needing a winch to get the big one up the stairs. He half smiled. Then a SWAT operator to our left exploded. He stormed over, yanked our prisoner up by the collar, slammed him against the floor, and screamed into his face. "What is wrong with you?" His voice broke. He sounded like a man ready to weep or kill. The heavy man bled from the nose, grinned, and spat right up the operator's visor. The rifle but came down fast. 2 more blows would have made it murder if the team hadn't dragged him back. My knees had that empty feeling, the one right before the truth lands. And then the room came into focus. Cribs, 6 of them, lined against the walls of that cramped, mildewed basement. We looked inside. I still see it at night. Children, infants to toddlers, more than one in some of the cribs. Every single one smeared in filth. None of them crying. Each little mouth was plugged with a pacifier, cinched in place with cord, tight enough to cut the skin. 2 had bungee cords looped around their tiny torsos, pinning them to the rails. The room tilted. I heard Morales on the radio, calling for EMS, for more units, for child services, for anybody, everybody. All I knew to do was reach down and lift the nearest baby, hands shaking so hard I could barely work the knot. The pacifier came free. He took one breath. Then he cried. That sound filled the basement, and then the stairwell, and then the whole house. It brought everyone running. The investigation painted the ugliest picture I've ever had a look at. The addicts squatting in that house had built themselves a daycare out of cruelty. They gagged the children so they could get high in peace. They left them in cribs, stacked and forgotten in the dark. We got the kids out. They went into the system. I never saw any of them again. None of US did. But every man who stood in that basement has wondered about them every day since. I know I have. During the lockdown, my life was actually going pretty good. In the first few weeks, I got together with my girlfriend, just in time, right when everything was closing and there was nothing else to do. It felt perfect. We had endless time to spend together in our new relationship. I had just started driving too, which meant freedom. We'd cruise around town, enjoying the empty streets, laughing, blasting music, sneaking into quiet spots. Of course, sometimes we'd find a secluded place to park. It was the end of our senior year. We just turned 18, had no real responsibilities, and thought we had the world figured out. Looking back, I wish I could have seen how quickly all that could be taken away. One Friday night, we decided to make it special. We grabbed a bottle of knockoff Fireball and picked up some weed. Her friends kept blowing up her phone, begging her to hang out, annoyed that she kept ditching them. She told them no again. What we didn't know was that they were so mad they literally called the cops, claiming I was some kind of dealer. We had no idea. That night, we parked in the dark lot behind a park. It was pitch black, perfect for being left alone. We smoked, drank, laughed, and then climbed into the back seat. One thing led to another. Clothes came off. We thought we were safe. Then I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. 3 cop cars rolled in with their lights off, surrounding us before I could even start the engine. I whispered to my girlfriend what was happening, both of us scrambling to pull our clothes back on, but it was too late. The flashlights hit the windows. We were caught. They yanked the doors open, shouting. One massive cop ripped me straight out of the car, slammed me to the ground, and cuffed me. My girlfriend screamed, refusing to get out, until 2 more cops dragged her out kicking and crying. They pinned us down in the dirt with every flashlight aimed at us, making sure the whole neighborhood could see. Then came the questions. My head was spinning, too stunned to think straight. They tore through my car and of course found the weed and the empty bottle. I immediately claimed it all was mine, hoping to keep my girlfriend out of it. Didn't matter. They breathalyzed me. I wasn't even driving, but I was under 21 and had alcohol in my system. That was enough for a DUI. 3 months after getting my license, it was gone. On top of that came a drug charge. And since it was after dark, they hit us both with trespassing. But the worst charge? Indecent exposure. Committing a lewd act. We were 18 in the back seat of a car alone. That was enough. And that conviction made us sex offenders for life. In court, the cop who dragged me out strutted in like he'd saved the world. He laid everything out. The bottle, the weed, the exposure, the trespassing, even an anonymous tip. He painted me as a menace to society. The judge bought it. At 18, I was sentenced to 6 months in jail and years of probation. My girlfriend avoided jail time, but she was scarred enough that she broke up with me while I was still locked up. It still makes my blood boil. All of this for being stupid teenagers in the backseat of a car. It ruined my life. If you take anything from my story, it's this. Cops are always looking for an excuse. And sometimes they'll take everything from you if you give them even the smallest one.